Hello, Vicky. Isn't that what your friends call you? Vicky? How did I know that? I guess I must be your friend, too.
If you're my friend, why are you hiding in the dark? You're not my friend, you're scary. Why are you crying?
People always make fun because of the way I look. I thought if you couldn't see my face, then maybe you would want to be my friend. Never mind. Oh, silly old Pennywise, you'll never have no friends.
People make fun of me too.
They do?
Because of this.
Well, isn't that silly? Oh, that little thing. Oh, I can blow that thing right away.
You could?
Oh, yes. One poof, and it'll be gone. Oh, you would have to get close enough to see my face. I don't know, Vicky.
No, it's okay. I won't make fun. I promise.
Promise. Well, okie dokie. Just come on in a little closer, and we'll blow it away on the count of 3. 1, 2.
You're supposed to say 3.
Tim, Alex, and Joey too. Got a show for me and you. Games and films and tunes, they'll skew. Some laugh, some grows, it's nothing new. Things are hated, let's dive in. Games and movies, where do I begin? Tunes we love, but still we spin. Laughs and cringe, it's where we win. Da, da, da.
Hello and welcome back to Thanks I Hate It. I am your host this week, Joey Fitz. I'm joined by my brother in Christ, Alex.
Hello.
And my brother, Tim.
Hello.
How are we doing, gentlemen?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you, Alex?
I'm very warm. How are you?
I'm a lovely temperature. Just swell, thanks, mate.
Just
swelling because of the heat.
Yeah.
So,
not anything else. Don't take it out of context.
Out of Context Game Club Pod is a Twitter that I used to own and forgot all of the passwords to, and will never be using again.
No.
So, this is Thanks I Hate It, where we choose something from a genre or a style of film, TV, games, music that one of the other people in this group has expressed a disdain or dislike for previously. The idea being that we turn them around on this genre. And this time, I have opted to go for not 1, but 2 movies, gentlemen. 2 films that tell one story, and that is It Chapters 1 and 2. So It Chapter 1 was released 2017. Chapter 2 was released in 2019. They are the second iteration of the It films, with the first one having a particularly hilarious Tim Curry. So let's do our funny jingle thing of whether we say whether we hated it or loved it. I'm going to start with Alex.
Well, he didn't hate it.
I am genuinely surprised, Alex.
So this was very much targeted at me, and I think we learned sometime after that it's also targeting Tim. I can't stand I can't stand jump scare films, and it's not a case of I get scared by them. It's a case of they're predictable, usually boring, and it's it's always about the shock factor more than anything with any kind of substance. So this got pitched, and now I feel, having watched them both, I feel like part of the reason they were pitched was these feel less like jump scare films to me, and they feel more like supernatural action films with horror elements, because unless you're particularly scared of clowns, they're not that scary. Some of the visuals are disturbing, more so in the second one. I think they went a bit more for the disturbing route, but they're not necessarily scary, and it's not super jump scary, predictable rubbish. It was a decent story. It was decent acting. The visuals were very good, and the way Pennywise was played and acted out was very, very good for what he's meant to be. I think I don't know who the actor was. I can't remember off the top
Bill
of my head.
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, right? Yeah, he nailed it. He got the creepy clown thing down to a T.
Nice. Have you? I'm guessing you haven't seen these before.
I had not seen them before, and I will be honest, I crapped myself a little bit. Crapped myself a little bit when I saw the runtime of them both, because they are very long films.
They are long films, but well, I'm pleasantly surprised, Alex, that you didn't hate it. I really thought that you might thoroughly
Fall
not
out with you?
enjoy it. No, not fall out with me. But yeah, I don't know. I think I chose it less so because I thought it would turn your idea around on jump scares, but more so because if I think about a jump scare movie in the last sort of 10 years, it is one of those that really comes to mind like straight away because of how striking the visual is and how different I think it is to a lot of other jump scare movies. So I chose it, but really happy that you didn't hate it.
I think they handled the jump scares a lot better than things like Final Destination, Deadly Premonition, all of those kind of films. Because the jump scares in that, you can see them a mile off, and they're kind of it's a very, very in those films, especially like Final Destination. It's very, very big build up to not a lot of payoff. The one is it. Can't remember which film it is, but the ones where it's the cameras set up in the house because they think the house is haunted.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. Paranormal Activity. That's the one.
Shite.
There's in one of the more recent Paranormal Activities. There's a scene where a knife gets flung up into the ceiling by the ghostly entity, and then it's 10 minutes of people just dicking around in the kitchen on the footage and cutting a salad or doing this, that, and the other, and you're just there going, the knife's going to drop at some point. Oh, it didn't drop. Okay, well, it's going to drop now. Okay, it didn't. And then 10 minutes later, it drops, and you go, okay, it dropped finally. But It 1 and 2 was very, very quick and very, very deliberate with what it was trying to portray as jump scares.
My favorite Paranormal Activity, and favorite is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, is the one where the Xbox Kinect is a major plot point. It's mental.
I don't remember that at all.
Definitely wasn't funded by Microsoft.
You know the way that the Kinect works is it shoots loads of it's loads of beams basically. It's lasers,
Lots
and
of
it
infrared.
tracks changes in the infrared lasers in the room. So there was points in this Paranormal Activity where they went into night vision and you could see the infrared beams from the Xbox Kinect. And they were very, very, very clear in going, this Microsoft Xbox Kinect is picking this up. Oh, I saw that on my Microsoft Xbox Kinect. And you could see like a figure going through it. It was stupid
At some point, the ghost started playing Just Dance. It was crazy.
Back when Xbox decided to burn down their entire public relations team, there was a point where there was a patent that got out there that the Kinect would pick up how many people were sat in a room if you were watching a movie on the Xbox and charge you per person. Now, I wonder how that would work in the world of Paranormal Activity, where it's you and a ghost.
You on your own and 65 ghosts in there. And it's just
Fucking hell, this movie's expensive.
You find out because you watch Garfield and it's cost you $1,000. Tim, let's get back on track. How did you find it, 1 and 2?
So number 1.
Well, he didn't hate it.
Number 2.
Oh, well, I guess he hated it.
Now, before you go any further, Tim, as a whole package.
As a whole package?
Well, he didn't hate it.
Tell me more.
So, I really, really, really liked it, part 1. I thought the fact that the whole thing with Pennywise as a clown is that he's supposed to be the amalgamation of fear. That's kind of his whole thing. He plays off the idea.
Sorry, before we go any further into your thoughts, Tim, I should have done this at the start. This episode is going to contain massive spoilers for it, part 1 and 2.
Yeah. So clowns by their nature are meant to be creepy. Well, they're not meant to be creepy. They are creepy. Just by their nature. It's almost got an uncanny valley aspect to them. And the fears that these kids in the movie experience are all pretty relatable fears. If we take the Jewish kid, he's freaked out by this really weird painting that his local rabbi has in the temple office. Like, it would be understandable for a kid to be a bit freaked out by that, and then to have that painting almost come up as a reoccurring theme it's a good idea. There's a haunted house at the end of one of the streets where it turns out Pennywise is supposed to be based or something. I forget if that's correct. But one of the kids is freaked out by that. There's a girl who's being abused by her father. It's a pretty common idea. The film ties back to that. And I really enjoyed that constant application and then reincorporation of those themes. And as Alex mentioned, Bill Skarsgård knocked it out of the park in both 1 and 2. And as critical as I'm going to be of part 2, Bill Skarsgård cannot be at all at fault here. I think he nailed it in both movies. I think part 1 had a pretty satisfying conclusion for the most part, of basically just start wailing on the monster because it's what kids would logically come to the conclusion of. Because they're not going to come to the conclusion of, if I make believe the monster will go away, but if they can hit it with lead pipes and sticks and stuff, and I'll probably do the trick for them. It was good. It was cool. The actors did a great job. Like, everyone across the board was good. It was a good movie. And then part 2 came around, and I was excited for part 2, but it didn't feel like it played at all on the fears of the characters. It just felt like, how much freaky shit can we put on the screen at one time? Like, one of the big criticisms I have with part 2 is there are frequent flashbacks to what was supposed to have happened when the gang of kids were all on their kind of own separate places. So, for example, Nick Wolfhard's character in the first movie goes off at one point and storms off, and we don't really see what happens to him. It's just kind of assumed he's doing his own thing, because he, at this point in the movie, hasn't really been experiencing the stuff with Pennywise. Makes sense that he'd go off and just do his own thing and kind of be away from it all. But then in the second movie, they're like, oh, but wait, he had a flashback with a giant lumberjack man that chased him through the town. Nick Wolfhard's character does not have a fear of lumberjacks or axes or trees. So why are we freaking out about a mascot man, only for them to try and recorporate it 2 minutes later and go, well, Nick Wolfhard's character, played by Bill Hader now, is also scared of the big mascot man that we told you about 2 minutes ago. It's just
what was his fear? Because this is the kid with glasses, wasn't it?
It was the kid with glasses, and he was supposed to have just basically had confidence issues because of issues at home. This is a constant theme in the movie of some sort of abuse. Like, there was a kid who was a hypochondriac, and he was a hypochondriac because his mom was what was the name of that condition? Munchausen's, thank you. Was doing Munchausen's by proxy with him. So it was just like, if you go outside, you're going to get germs and die. And he, in an ironic twist in the second movie, becomes a risk analyst for an insurance company. That's a clever bit of reincorporation. But then all that amalgamates to, in the entirety of the rest of the movie, is, guys, this might be a little bit scary to do, was his character arc.
Can I ask, so there was this really strange bit where his mum was tied up in the basement of the chemist's, and he very slowly was walking towards her while she was going, "Oh, Eddie, come help me, Eddie!" And then he pulled the curtain back, and the thing that was stopping her from leaving was a zombie.
Yeah.
What? Why was there a zombie?
It was the personification of pestilence. It wasn't a zombie. It was a leper. So it was the personification of disease and pestilence and nastiness. And I think the idea behind that was the mother is trapped by disease.
But like the thing that was trapping her was the leather straps that stuck her to the chair. It made no fucking sense.
But they were slimy.
And the only character out of the entire gang whose plot throughout this whole movie made any, I say any sense, a semblance of sense, was what's he called? Bill, played by James McAvoy. Thank you. Because he's the only one who incorporated an element of fear into his plot. So there's a point where he goes back to the drain from the first movie where his brother, younger brother, gets pulled down the drain. Georgie gets pulled down the drain by Pennywise and is killed. And so Bill goes back to the drain and is like, "Why, Pennywise? Why did you kill my brother?" And he's like, "Because you weren't there for him." And then that becomes a reincorporating theme for Bill throughout the rest of this movie about not being there for people. He's not there for the neighbor kid when he's trapped in this house of mirrors, which, by the way, was probably one of the better scenes of the movie.
The house of mirror scenes was good.
But he's the only one who incorporates an element of fear. The girl who in the first movie who was being abused by her dad, the dad is dead now in this second movie. So she goes to the house where he used to live, and what's there is an old woman who stares a lot and makes tea and then gets naked and runs at her, and then she has a weird hallucination where she's back at high school and the toilet is filling up with blood. Not from the toilet, it's just coming from under the stalls and over the stalls. That's her whole plot. It didn't make a lick of sense. And then at the end of the movie, some massive spoilers for the end of the movie, I mentioned earlier how in the first film, the logical thing for the kids to do, because the kids aren't going to come to the conclusion of, if I make believe the monster will go away, they come to the conclusion of hit it with sticks and pipes until it goes away, which is fine. But in the second movie, Pennywise turns out to be a giant alien spider, and the only thing that I can think of is that 3 hours earlier in this movie, the girl mentioned, "Oh, I don't like spiders," and then that was it. She was like, "Oh, there's a spider over there. Let me get rid of it." And then Bill Skarsgård is a spider at the end of the movie. And then because the risk analyst guy, whose name I've forgotten, throws a big stick at him. Thank you, Eddie. Throws a stick at him and says, "This stick kills monsters if I believe it does." Pennywise then shrinks down to about the size of a child, and all the gang gather around and start yelling at him, making him just die from insults. It's a dumb. Part 1, really liked it. Part 2, hated it.
Have either of you seen the original
Yes.
with Tim Curry? Does it end in the same way, Tim?
It ends with the spider, but they incorporate the spider a lot more into the movie.
But does it end with them calling him names and not being scared of him until he basically shrivels and dies?
Yes, but that's because Mike, the guy who's a detective, so it's he's kind of a victim of racial abuse in the first movie by some town bullies, and in the second movie he is a detective. And because he's done all his detective sleuthing in the film, he's found that a constant recurring theme for these types of creatures is confidence, essentially. If you can build up your confidence and not show them that it affects you in the same way the bullies would have done earlier in the movie, the creature shrinks and dies. Because he works out it's the amalgamation of fear and lack of confidence.
Got you. They
killed it with teamwork and friendship. It's basically My Little Pony.
Pennywise would not have lasted on Twitter because he would just die as soon as he opened up an account.
The thing I really thought was quite funny was so Pennywise was an alien, as Tim said, that chose to take on the form of this clown. But the thing that kills it is them calling him a clown.
Yeah.
Which, like, they're all stood around and going, "You're a clown, you're a clown, you're a clown." He's like, "No," and then it just dies.
Does he not know what a clown is, and he's just thinking it's something else?
Don't know. But like you said, I think so. For my 2 jingles for the first and the second one are exactly the same as Tim's, but overall, I think I had a pretty good time with the 2 films. I think one was particularly good, gory, stupid. Didn't take itself too seriously, which I really think went in its favor. My favorite bit was when they were in the sewers and it was all really tense, and all of a sudden the circus popped out and he went, "Now introducing Pennywise, the dancing clown." And it's just Pennywise doing a dance while the world moves around it, and he's perfectly still in frame dancing. It was very strange.
Paper stabilized on him.
But that really worked in its favor. And if I think about the difference between the conclusion of 1 and 2, the kind of smacking it and him going, so they had the opportunity to all of them be safe and never be killed, because the town of Derry where they live has, I can't remember the exact stat, but I think it's 6 times the number of murder and suicide than the rest of Americans, and that's doubled in kids. And that's obviously because of the statistics of Pennywise. But they had the opportunity of Pennywise bargaining with them, leave, let me take Bill, and the rest of you can live. And they all decide to gang together as friends. And then, like Tim said, whack him with sticks until he falls in a well and goes, "I'm going to come back in 27 years and I'll wake from my slumber." And then they just get together in a field and slice their hands and make a blood oath.
I was going to say, can we talk about a bunch of kids doing a blood oath?
Yeah, blood oath. That if the clown comes back, when he clearly said, "I'll be back in 27 years,"
and he's been back every 27 years prior to this,
he's been back every 27 years, making a blood oath to say that they'll come and fight him again, and then all of them leaving Derry and immediately forgetting absolutely everything to do with their childhood and the murderous clown.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Very bizarre.
Very bizarre. But yeah, the stupid spider really pissed me off at the end of the second one. I actually said to Tim Alex, I said, I don't understand why it was a spider. And Tim pointed out that the lady said, "Oh, I don't know." The thing is,
they could have done so much more with it, so much more that made sense. Pennywise could have split off into each of their fears, and we could have seen 6 one-on-ones. One of them's fighting a pestilent leper, and the others fighting their dad, and the others fighting whatever you have.
Which would have made sense. I know Stephen King wrote it to be a spider in the book, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a dumb ending. Having them conquer their fears one-on-one would arguably be a more satisfying ending to this, which is really ironic because James McAvoy's character is a writer in Hollywood who cannot write endings.
Which surely must be a bit of a inside nod. Surely.
Yeah,
it's got to be a bit of a gap.
The other thing that was a bit of a mystery to me, and Tim, I found the answer to this out. Alex, do you remember the bit with the lumberjack mascot? And Pennywise is stood on his shoulder and he floats down and he goes, "Let's play truth or dare, Richie, and we'll find out. But you wouldn't want anyone to say truth with you. Oh, I'm going to expose your deep, dark secret." And it never actually explains what the deep, dark secret is in this. Do you know what it is?
He fancies Eddie, isn't it?
Yeah, he's in love with Eddie.
Yeah.
No. I didn't get that.
Well, at the end, you see him carving on the bridge where everyone either goes to make out or carve names. You see him carving R and E.
But I just thought that's because they were homies.
I think it looked like it was a memorial of Eddie rather than anything else. But I looked it up, and his deep dark secret is that he loves Eddie.
I can say, by the way, with confidence that my faults with the movie are not with the acting or particularly the direction. To be honest, I think the actors actually, across the entirety of their movies, did really well with the stuff they were given. All of my flaws come from a plot and writing perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. So we've talked about 1. We all preferred 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment across the 2? Should I summarize the story really quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So, film starts out, and Georgie and Bill are brothers. Bill is pretending to be ill. Georgie wants to play in the rain, and Georgie gets lured into the sewer and goes missing after having his arm bitten off. This is where the first thing of "we all float down here" comes from, and it's a bit of a running theme throughout the movie. The kids in the film start seeing the clown everywhere. They start seeing all of their fears. So there is a new kid who starts seeing the burnt victims of an explosion or a house fire. There is another kid who starts seeing a headless thing finding him in the library. But the common theme is that all of these kids are like what you would consider losers at the time, and they make a club called the Losers Club. So they're all friends and they bunch together over the summer break to find Georgie because his body was never missing. Other kids are going missing in town at the same time, and they start finding clues that lead to the sewers. Throughout the movie, fears come up. A big one is Beverly. Her bathroom sink explodes with blood, and you find out her father can't see the blood all over her and the walls and everywhere in between, but all of the kids can see it. So they clean that up, and Beverly gets taken by Pennywise. In this time, we find out that he appears every 27 years and abducts kids all over Derry and just be's a horrible bastard. The kids get together and beat the shit out of the clown while looking at Beverly, who has been affected by something. Is it death sight when they look into what the clown's real appearance is? The three lights?
Deadlight?
Deadlight, that's right.
I think
you.
it's the deadlights, yeah.
Yeah, so Beverly sees the deadlights and is floating in midair, but the kids rescue her. And what this means is Beverly can see when they all are going to die. They beat the shit out of Pennywise and push him in a well, and he says, "See you in 27 years." And then they make a promise that if it ever comes back, they will return to Derry to stop it. And that is the quickest retelling of It Chapter 1 you've ever heard. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Nothing massively important. So, It Chapter 2 is a little bit more convoluted. So, Pennywise returns. All the kids, apart from Mike, have left Derry, and he is studying it and making it his life mission to kill Pennywise, essentially. When the murders start happening again, he calls all of the others who have forgotten everything about Derry and Pennywise itself, and he convinces them all to come back. And they all do, apart from
Stan.
Thank you, Stan.
Stan, thank you.
That's the badger.
Who tragically takes his life once he learns that Pennywise has returned because he remembers the horrors that he saw as a child. They all meet up, and there's a will they, won't they stay kind of narrative where they're all at one point going, "Oh, we're leaving," and "Oh, we're staying," and they eventually all stay and work together to fight Pennywise. Now, there is a bit here which is the dumbest thing, but it is a plot point where they have to, and I wrote this down. Mike explains the ritual of Chud, which is a ritual where they all have to get something from their past to burn and face Pennywise. That means that they all split up. Bill finds the paper boat that Georgie had, etc., etc. They find something personal to them and their fears. They go down into the sewers and burn their shit, and giant spider Pennywise comes out, and they have a fight. And then Eddie believes he can kill him, ends up getting killed by Spider Pennywise, and then they all stand around him, calling him a nerd until Pennywise dies. And that's it. That's it, 1 and 2. It's not going to convince you to go and see either of them, my story, but those are the major plot points. What was your favorite moment across the two movies?
Favorite moment? I think there was a really cool. I say cool. There was a neat moment that they referred back to in the second film where Nick Wolfhard's character, who is played by Bill Hader in the second movie, and Eddie are in the abandoned house together, and they're being tormented by Pennywise the clown, and there's 3 doors that say not scary, kinda scary, and very scary. So it's just like, well, we'll take the not scary door, and it's like some horrific shit. And then like in the next movie, they're like, well, it's this again. We'll like it's a trick. We'll just take the very scary door, and somehow it's like even worse.
That was good. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Alex?
Oh, that's right. It was the dog, wasn't it? That then turned into like a big dog creature.
Well, that
Well,
was another
this
callback because they
Yeah.
said something about a stupid Chihuahua dog or a whatever
Pomeranian, I
cockapoo.
think it was. Yeah.
Pomeranian, and then they're like staring at it and going, "Oh, it's not that scary. Oh, he's going to do something." And then just before they shut the door, it turns into like this enormous man-sized zombie dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one was obviously the House of Mirrors scene that I referenced earlier, and I think was probably one of your guys' mentions.
Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, so to avoid the Hall of Mirrors one, the ending of the first one where it's just the kids absolutely fucking wailing on it was just so funny, and it's a shame that the ending of it too was so bad in comparison. I think there's no real specific standout bit, but a lot of the interaction between the kids of just insulting each other and basically making loads of your mum jokes
Yeah.
really tickled me, because you're just there watching it going, yeah, that was us as kids, yeah.
But that's why I think the In-Betweeners, and I should preface the UK version of the In-Betweeners was so good. It's because it's how kids spoke to each other.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that this was maybe really exaggerated, but you know, everyone had a friend that spoke like that to their other friends and was just a dickhead, and
Yeah.
but you loved them and you got on with them, and it felt like actual kids.
Yeah.
But then when in the second movie, when they're having that dinner together at the Chinese buffet, and they're all just there doing it again, it's like, oh, yeah, that seems familiar.
Yeah, true. It's interesting that we all preferred the first movie, but Tim, both of your things, I know one of them was a callback to the first one, but all of these moments are the second film that are the most memorable moments.
Yeah. I think it's because the second movie, for the most part, was a lot lower in terms of the standard of writing. And I'm pointing out the writing here in particular because across both movies, they both had great cinematography. There's clearly a lot of production value put into it. The actors all did an incredible job. Like I say, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, Nick Wolfhard rather, being real highlights across both movies. But the writing wasn't great in the second one, and the writing is the second film's downfall to me, because like I said, the second film had a much lower standard, but it had really high highs. Like I've mentioned that House of Mirrors scene, and we should probably detail that because we mentioned it a couple of times now, or at least I have, where James McAvoy is essentially trying to protect the kid that lives in the house now that he used to live in as a kid in the first movie. That kid is like, I see a clown too. When he realizes that James McAvoy is like essentially chasing Pennywise the clown. And he kind of gets wind that Pennywise is going to go for the kill on this kid when he's in a house of mirrors at a local carnival. And it's just like a chase scene, like where the kid isn't particularly running away from James McAvoy, but he ends up somehow like isolating himself in like a box of mirrors. And on one side is James McAvoy trying to break in and help him, and on the other side is Pennywise trying to break in and kill him. And obviously the kid's terrified of both because he doesn't know what James McAvoy's intent is. And it's like I say, to me, that's the best scene of the movie because it's written well, it's shot incredibly well, the performances are well done, the writing in it is pretty good and believable.
Well,
And then,
sorry, I said I agree, but I'll come on to why I don't agree that it's the best in just a minute. But carry on, Tim.
well, that's about all I got for it.
Okay, cool.
I really love as he's going through the Hall of Mirrors and he keeps occasionally banging into one. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it was good. Well, the Hall of Mirrors is one of my very memorable. I thought it was really good. The strobe lighting made sense. The claustrophobia made sense. The confusion made sense. And James McAvoy is excellent. And I think that there wasn't like a tailored fear for the kid. but it wasn't like as much of a bloogie woogie woo as some of the other kills in chapter 2 were. It didn't feel like out of the blue as much as some of the others. But my favorite moment across the two films was a really dumb conversation at the start of It Chapter 2 between the girl with the birthmark on her face and Pennywise underneath the bleachers. And the thing I loved about it was her trepidation of going to speak to him was about him being a stranger. And he did the same thing that he did with Georgie in the first one, where he introduced himself. He goes, "Well, look, we're not strangers anymore. We can talk to each other." But he's lit by this tiny little light of a firefly, and it's complete darkness around him. And I think that the cinematography around that was absolutely excellent.
Mm.
And I think it was, as you described, everything you hate about a jump scare, Alex, where you're like, you know what's going to happen here. You know she's going to get taken by Pennywise. You know that that she's going to disappear and going to kick off this whole Pennywise thing. She's going to get chomped. But the pacing of it was not at a snail's pace, but it wasn't quick. But it was just told really well, and it just looked excellent. It was almost believable as a conversation that a child would have with someone who was like out to get them.
Mm. And the thing that was interesting across both movies for Pennywise is he almost has a bit of a tell as to when he's going to attack. I'm sure you guys noticed, but he goes quite wall-eyed and drooling.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like he just goes into like an autopilot mode, and his brain just shuts off for when he's about to attack.
I did think that was really stupid when I first saw it, and I was like, "Oh, he looks and sounds goofy. His accent's really stupid. Doesn't fit the character." But the more I watched the film, the more I thought, I can't imagine this any other way.
I did see a review on Letterboxd that said that Pennywise sounded like Winnie the Pooh, and I couldn't stop hearing it.
Oh well.
I think Rachel made the same comment when we were watching. She was like, "Why does he sound like Winnie the Pooh?" And then she was like, "Oh gosh, I'm stuck in this honey."
I'd really like it if he killed a kid and went, "Oh bother,
oh bother, oh bother."
Right. Anything else you want to say on it? Chapters 1 and 2, boys?
There was a great cameo in the second chapter. The shop, because I watched this on Prime, so I had the X-ray thing.
Yeah, this was the biggest jump scare of the movies.
So the shopkeeper where James McAvoy buys Silver again, his bike.
Yeah.
That shopkeeper is Stephen King.
Yeah, biggest jump scare of the movie.
I had no idea.
I wouldn't have had any idea, but I paused it to go get a drink, so the X-ray thing came up, and I was like, "Does that say Stephen King?"
Yeah.
I've just got a thing here, and there's on with the cinema and films being the way they are now, we lose out on all of the DVD extras. So I found something that would basically be in the DVD extras, and it's the making of Pennywise and how they made him so creepy on YouTube. And it is a behind the scenes footage of that scene that I just explained, where it's all pitch dark behind him and he's lit by this tiny light. And even in the behind the scenes footage, he looks absolutely terrifying. I'm surprised that the girl playing the girl that went missing, I'd be surprised if she slept since filming that. But it is nice seeing them high five after they do the take.
I've just seen a review on Letterboxd here for both these movies. 1990s Pennywise would go boo, and the kids would go ah. But in 2017's Pennywise, he would go boo, and the kids would go fuck off. Also, the part where Pennywise did Gangnam Style for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was the Pennywise dancing clown that I mentioned. Can I just say that my shout out, Tim, I know you mentioned a few of the actors there. My favorite actor across the two was Beverly Marsh's actor from Chapter 1, Sophia Lillis. I thought she was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was good.
Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that's Thanks, I Hate It. So What are we talking about next for Thanks I Hate It? This is
Really hoping-
contentious, by the way, because I know it's aimed at me, but I've never once said that I would hate anything to do with this. Alex.
Oh,
It's Tim's
the next Thanks I
episode.
Hate
Why are
It.
you calling out
Yeah.
at me?
I don't know. I just think you're a dick.
Fair.
Oh, fair enough.
Sorry,
this one-
sorry. Oh, wait. I've never once said I hate it. Tim.
Tim.
Sorry. This one actually isn't aimed at you. It is aimed at Alex as someone who
good.
hates platformers. We're going to play
Yes.
Grizz.
Hmm.
I'm gonna
Now,
Grizz
Grizz,
that Grizz. I didn't
yeah,
feel good saying that.
Grizz.
That's right. Josh bought Joey and I a copy of Grizz. Did he buy you one, Alex?
I believe he did, yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, I wanted to get to it at some point on the podcast, and then I played it for the podcast thinking we'd do an episode, and it just kept on getting moved, and then I saw Alex hates platformers, so now feels like a good time.
Well, there you go.
Alex doesn't necessarily hate platformers. Alex is just very, very fucking bad at them.
Brilliant.
Right, well, we're getting on to Gris. The next episode we have out is a cuts BAP. BAP.
Yep.
So next week you'll be joined by Pete and Sky for another excellent episode of BAP. And that's it from us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Alex and Joey too. Got a show for me and you. Games and films and tunes they'll skew. Some laugh, some groans, it's nothing new. They